Hi, everybody.
Hello. Was it just lunch? Yeah?
How was
lunch? Did you eat
lunch?
on campus or did you leave?
There was free food. Yeah, they ate here.
Did anybody venture out into the big city? Yeah? Where'd you go? Were they New York sandwiches?
Yes.
That means
Who
like
said it?
I
pastrami
said it.
piled up or what?
Well, I'm a vegetarian, so it wasn't that exciting.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
There's a
That's all right.
terrific dumpling place not far from here called Ollie's.
Okay.
Columbia students, I'm sure, can vouch for this. How was it? How was Ollie's?
It was very good. It's super good.
It was great. Good. Did you have the dumplings? That's what you gotta have.
I got the wonton soup, and then my friend Maya got the dumplings.
Dumplings.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome. So we got a thumbs up on the dumplings.
Did anyone go to
Ollie's.
my favorite place, the Hungarian pastry shop? Yeah, heck yeah. It's Purim, right? They must have the hamantaschen. I like to get the poppy seed myself. Do we have any prune fans here?
Poppy seed is the sort
have
of
prune
classic hamantaschen. You like the prune hamantaschen? Oh, yes. We all like Purim. So,
Okay, so you are here for making good trouble with AI, guys. Get ready.
that's right.
We're gonna-
This is going to be interactive. We're going to try not to get on the stage, but we're going to put one of you on stage. So
Hell
get
yeah.
yourself ready. Prepare yourself to volunteer.
But there will be candy. There's one. Whoa!
Candy. We didn't realize we were going right after lunch, but when we found out, Ben went out and got candy to keep everybody alert. Fall asleep at the next one.
Coming in. We're going.
You got to wait. You got to be a reward.
You gotta earn it?
You got to earn it.
Scott says you have to earn it. Scott, who are you?
I am Scott Klein. For many years, I worked at ProPublica here in New York, but I have since then left, and I now work. I'm trying the world of software out. So I now work at Automattic. Who here has heard of WordPress? There we go. So we are the company that makes WordPress. But I work on a team that works with many, many small newsrooms around the country. So I'm sure that we have a publisher who uses Newspack at the city you guys live in, but we don't have to get into that because we're not here to talk about that. And who are you, Ben?
Hi, my name is Ben Welsh. I live here in Manhattan with my wife, but I'm a relatively new New Yorker. I've only been here about 2 years. I work at Reuters News in Times Square, but I'm originally from eastern Iowa. Do we have any Iowans in the house? What? Where? Hell yeah. I grew up in Swisher. Right there off 380. You know where it is. Hell yeah. And I am a nerd in the news. And I don't know if, Scott, do you self-describe as a nerd? Do you identify?
Hell yes. Self-describe, others describe me. I'm just sort of generally, it is a truism that I am a nerd.
Yeah, and so as you can probably tell from our presentation, which is about to begin, Scott and I are the nerds in the newsroom, right?
That's right.
We have kind of specialized roles that we've carved out over the last couple decades, where yes, we are reporters, and yes, we are editors, but we're also computer programmers and product designers and just tinkerers who are trying to help the news industry kind of make it on the new rough and tough digital frontier.
And interestingly, I spent 25 years as the nerd in the newsroom, and now I'm the journalist in the nerd room.
Whoa, how's that?
It's pretty awesome. I like it. So,
Right.
All right, so this is going to be interactive. We're not going to make people stand up, but we are going to run at you with a microphone and ask you to kind of raise your hand and answer some questions. So, who here is ready to play a game? Ready or not, we're doing it. I don't know why I asked.
All right,
So
who
here
you
we
picking,
go.
Scott? Call on somebody.
All right, hold on.
Hold on. All right. Sorry about that.
I got to be closer to
raised
do
too
this
hard, I'm
thing,
sorry.
so I can't go that far. There we go.
Do you guys know this reference? Anyway, no. Hell yeah.
War games. There
There
we
you
go.
go. Here comes your candy.
We're going to play a game of word association.
Look it up.
War Games was a movie from when I was a young person. Why do I keep doing this? Word association.
All right. You ready? Finally, can we get there? All right, so what is the first thing you think of when we say scientist?
No, we raise hands. We're gonna put you on mics. You again.
Nerd.
Nerd.
Wow, that's rough. How about you?
Biology.
Biology, very good.
Anybody else?
Oh, sorry. Smart.
Smart.
Andy?
Also true. I like that. Hold on. Wait.
Good. I like your
Research?
answer.
Research. Awesome. Love it.
Experiment.
Experiment. Fantastic. This is great. These are Columbia kids.
Yep.
Big
yep.
words. Terrific.
You earned some candy on that one.
Ready? Should we move on to Ben? We have
Yeah, what's the next word?
These are good. These are excellent.
Techie. Technologist.
Technologist.
First word that popped into your head, yeah.
Computer.
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 You?
Zuckerberg.
No, weird.
Zuckerberg. Okay, I'll come over.
Bay Area.
Bay Area.
Whoa.
Bay Area. It's true.
Okay, we got some folks over here, Scott. I'm making my way.
All right.
Yes, you guys?
Wait, we got some
Coding.
candy. We got some candy earners over here.
Big mouse.
Mouse. Okay. You know, my intern last summer had never used a mouse in her whole life. She was like, that's for old people. Did you guys know that? Shocked me. You got a word? Yes?
This guy right here.
Oh, him? Him. Great word. The sequel to her.
What else we got for techie? We need one more.
Okay, yeah. How about you got it here, dude?
One more.
Peter.
Another. Wait.
Okay.
Wait. We got two more. Ben, we got candy
All right,
earners
I'm
up
giving
here.
away too much candy is what Scott's telling me.
Coding.
Coding.
Coding, that's a good one.
Perfect.
Bro.
Bro. I know plenty of
Okay.
non-bro techies.
All right, what's our next word, Scott?
Hold on, Ben. We owe candy. Yes. Here you go. Like half of this area. Just they'll self-identify as candy earners.
All right.
Engineer.
You got a word? Here.
Gears.
Gears. Okay.
Oh.
Robots.
Not the first time I sense.
Robot.
Robots.
You're done. Okay, you're out. You're cash.
Machine.
Machine.
Building.
Building. We got
Right,
building
architecture.
for engineer. I love it.
Good.
Robots.
Robots. More robots. Lots of robots.
School.
School. You know, where we are now.
Robotics.
Robotics. We got robots. This is terrific.
All right.
This is
Okay.
great.
And we got one more word, Scott? Or
We got one more word.
how do you say that one? Okay.
I was genuinely worried that this is like a thing from my era and didn't exist anymore.
All right.
These still exist, right? Good.
Olympiad.
Olympiad. Okay, good. These still exist. Thank you.
Derivative.
Derivative.
Yeah, that had 3 syllables. Hell yes.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
Does that happen in Mean Girls? Is there a mathlete? The new one or the old one? Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Another mathlete.
Competition.
Competition.
Okay,
All right.
very good.
Excellent.
So
Who is owed a candy? I just want to make sure we don't. Did you get your candy? You guys. Oh, she don't want candy. That's okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let us know. We got way too much, so you're all going to get candy even if you didn't.
Science, techie, engineer, mathlete. We did those 4. All right, we got one last one, and we want you to dig deep and just say, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
Don't be afraid of my feelings. Ben can speak to him for his own.
All right, first word that came into your head, let's be honest.
Yep. Honest.
Writer.
Writer. The first one we got was writer.
Okay,
Interviewer.
Interviewer. Love it.
You got one?
These are all terrific.
Inquisitive.
Inquisitive. Excellent word. Such vocabularies.
Storyteller.
Storyteller. Absolutely love it. Okay.
I got one.
I see one over here.
Hero.
Hero. Hell yeah.
Yearbook.
Yearbook. Yearbook. We got candy. Yep, good.
All right, and let's get one right here, Scott.
All right.
Oh, he's passing you by.
Underpaid.
I agree. That one is absolutely true. Underpaid.
One more.
Reporter.
Yes.
Reporter. Very
Well-
good. Oh, here's your candy. Okay. I heard a bit of a contrast from the four before, don't you think, Scott?
Yes, I noticed that immediately. The first four were very similar,
Right.
but journalists seemed very different. So the vibe I get from the room is that you all think that journalism is very different than science, technology, engineering, and math. Is that right? Is it sort of like different, like one of these things doesn't, that's definitely my era. One of these things doesn't belong? Yes, okay, all right. Well, we think, I'm not sure how to do this
Can
anymore.
you do
Here
it?
we
There you go.
I
Come on,
got it.
Scott. You get some candy if you do it.
Oh.
Boom. No, not quite.
Not yet, I got it.
You got it?
I got it. It turns out that's wrong.
Sorry, you're wrong.
That is not true at all. We think, and we are proof, that science, technology, engineering, and math are all things that are useful in journalism. And they are kinds of people that journalists can be and kinds of backgrounds that journalists can have. And we're going to talk a little bit about some people that we know in the news industry who come from science, technology, engineering, math backgrounds. So this is a guy named Peter Aldous. Do you want to talk about Peter?
Peter was a scientist, and he got bored. And he thought working at the bench and writing these papers that very few people read wasn't a very good time. And he decided to change it up and become a reporter. And he took all the skills that he developed as a scientist and used those same skills to find and tell stories, including stuff with AI, which we can get into, and in this particular case, tracking government spy planes and then writing about what they're up to out there in the world.
Meanwhile, can anybody with really good vision, can you read what Peter did in college? He has his PhD in animal behavior. He worked for a long time at BuzzFeed News of blessed memory. And I'm not sure where he is now, but as Ben says, he is an investigative reporter that uses quantitative methods that he learned studying animal behavior to do journalism projects. And as I said, here's the project on kind of, he figured out how to use helicopter transponders. Every airplane has a transponder to sort of figure out whether whether and why FBI helicopters were hovering over places. So that's Peter Aldous, a scientist.
And a journalist.
And a journalist, not one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Scott, what's going on, dude?
There we go.
Hell yeah.
This is Jeff Cow. Jeff works at Bloomberg News now, though I worked with him when he was at ProPublica. This is a project that Jeff did in which Bloomberg has obviously, who knows about Bloomberg News? Who's heard of Bloomberg News or the Bloomberg Terminal or Mayor Mike Bloomberg? All sort of related to each other. Great. So Bloomberg News, I said I wasn't going to go on the stage. Bloomberg News did a project where they took, so who here's from New York City? You are awesome. I'm also from New York City. We just started this thing called congestion pricing, where you pay a toll if you drive your car in Manhattan under 60th Street. So you're safe here, but if you drive your car south of 60th Street, you pay a toll. And critics of the program said that this was not making traffic any better, and Bloomberg wanted to see if that was true. And because they have nerds, Jeff and a band of his colleagues aimed a high-resolution camera out the window of their building and then wrote a piece of computer vision software that counted the number of cars that passed by. And they were able to find out, because they're under 60th Street, they were able to determine that thanks to congestion pricing, that actually the number of cars in Manhattan did go down. And in fact, the computer vision they wrote was able to determine the difference between a civilian car, a cab, and other kind of, service vehicles. So this was a program that they had to write to kind of answer this question. And where did Jeff go to school? Right here, right on this very campus. He went to the University of Waterloo in Canada, where he was an engineering major, and then he got a law degree here at Columbia, and then decided not to practice law. But yeah, so Jeff is a techie. We have science, and we have technology. Where are we going to go next? Ben, you want to talk about Irina?
Yeah, so Irina is a journalist who has worked at NPR and ProPublica, and is now at the New York Times, I think as of a couple weeks ago.
Thanks.
And she studied actually engineering at Stanford University and has since become a journalist who, like us, works with data to find and tell stories. And without those specialized skills, without that nerdiness, she wouldn't be able to do what she does.
That's right. These projects, she did a project where she did not just a whole lot of math to do a story about who here is from the Pacific Northwest? Oh, we got one. Yay. So there are salmon fisheries. The salmon industry in the Pacific Northwest has really been getting smaller because of over-damming, I guess you would call it. And so Irina did a big mathematical project to try to figure out why that was happening and whether the federal government's processes for fixing this were working. Narrator, they're not. And so Irina used her quantitative skills and her more traditional journalism skills, whoever said interviewing and things like that, to do this story, working with a reporter out in Oregon. She also did a project, if you look at the map, she did a project where she looked to see how many state legislatures had fewer than 20%, less than 20% women. And she found that actually all of the ones apparently in the Southeast, almost all the Southeast had legislatures that have less than 20% women. So lots of math, lots of engineering and kind of technology to be able to kind of find stories that would otherwise not be findable. Keep that in mind. We're going to be finding stories in about a minute. So Irina is actually probably both a scientist and an engineer. What does that leave?
And finally, we have Amanda Cox. Does anyone know Amanda? She is now the data editor at Bloomberg News, where she runs a large team of people, including the one Jeff's on, I suppose, and has been a pioneer in digital data journalism now for more than 20 years or so, and did that after studying statistics in college.
That's right. She got her bachelor's degree in economics from St. Olaf. We have any St. Olafs? Man, that would have been fun. She got her bachelor's degree from St. Olaf's, and then she got in economics, and then got her master's degree in statistics. So what does that make her? There we go.
She's our mathlete.
She's our mathlete. And so all of these people, what do they all have in common?
They're nerds, Scott.
And by the way, this is, do people know this? Amanda invented the needle at the New York Times election night.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
That's what a
needle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to skip that slide. That's Amanda's claim to fame. They're all also journalists.
They're nerds and journalists?
They're nerds and they're journalists. They are not in tension at all. You can do all of the things that a journalist does and use your biology skills, your engineering skills, your math skills. You can bring all of yourself to journalists, and we need all of that in journalism and in newsrooms to tell the stories that can be told now, that have to be told now. So if we leave you with something, in addition to kind of showing you how to use AI to do stuff, it's that I believe, Ben, do you believe this?
With my full heart, Scott.
I believe with my full heart that journalism is a STEM major. Salaries haven't caught up yet, but the reality is that we need biologists and chemists and animal behaviorists and electrical engineers, and all of those things in journalism. Which raises a question. Seeing everything that you've seen and kind of thinking about the words that you described journalists before we showed you all of those slides, knowing what you know now, what is journalism?
Can someone define it for the class? Oh, hell yeah, I love this.
You're going to get
Come
candy
on,
if you
dude.
answer.
Break it down. I'm giving you the mic. What's journalism?
Journalism is the ability to take a story and distill it down into a consumable format for the general public.
Okay. He's taking the production angle, Scott. I kind of
All right.
like that.
That's not bad.
So that was the packaging and storytelling side. I love it. I love it. Anyone else want to try to define journalism? What's missing from that definition? Hand him the mic. Let's hear this guy.
I think you might be trying to get at the
No,
journalism
no.
side that is the scientific method.
Maybe a little. But there's also the gathering part is what I'm thinking. I heard the publishing part here. Which I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
You got to go get that news, right?
Yeah, the gathering of information.
Yeah, man.
This is what we think journalism is. It is all of those things as well. But people are doing journalism right now who don't call themselves journalists, who don't realize they're doing journalism. Journalism, it's a way of thinking, and it's a set of rules that keep us honest, that hopefully make us credible in the world. When we say something important, people believe us because we impose rules upon ourselves. What are the rules? Ben, what's a rule?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. That's right. Don't give money to political parties.
Yeah.
Right? There's a little bit of a monkishness to it about what we can do and what we can't do. We don't sign political, what do they call those? We don't sign.
Petitions.
Yes. We kind of hold ourselves out of, we don't go to protests, right? There's some rules to keep us honest. We don't pay sources. Do people know about that? Like if you ever see a source, if you see a person talking on TV, it is absolutely forbidden to pay that person for being on your air or for talking for your story. So it's a set of rules that keep us honest, but it's also a way of thinking. And you've already seen it on the board, so I don't have to go too deeply into it, but one of those things is that we start with a question. We are all biased. We all have opinions. Some of our opinions are really deeply held. Some of those opinions are political. And we can't turn those off no matter how many rules we make for ourselves. But the important part is that we start with a question, not an answer. We don't take an answer and then find the proof that we need. The scientists, you can call that inductive, right? Inductive is when you start with an answer and then find the question. We start with the question and find the answer.
Right.
And if we don't like where that goes, and if it goes against our side, or if it makes us feel really bad and we wish it weren't true, it is too bad.
Right.
If I was doing something bad, which I'm not, and Ben figured it out and wrote a story about me, even though we're actually close friends, I would understand he would have to do that.
Right, and so to return to our examples, Peter started with the question of where are the spy planes? Can I find them? I know the government has them, where are they?
Right.
How frequently do they fly? What are they up to, right? And then our techie example, Jeff, started with, is congestion pricing actually reducing traffic in Manhattan, which is what it claims it's going to do. And Irene started with the question of, are we approaching anything like gender parity in our state legislatures, right? And Amanda started with the question of, can we, from the early election results as they begin to emerge in the night, give you some sense of where they're going to end up, or a better sense of where they're going to end up based on what we know about the political science of it all. So each of them started with a question, in a sense like any reporter might, but they used their science, technology, engineering, and math skills to find the answers, right? And then even some of those same skills to publish something interesting on the internet as well. You can do it, Scott. Yeah. And in that way...
But journalism is not one thing. Journalism is the intersection of things. Yes, there's writing or photography or illustration or coding, but it also is an intersection with what you bring to it, the expertise that you have. My whole career, I have been a journalist and an engineer. I have managed people who are journalists and illustrators, journalists and photographers. Journalist and something is very much a thing. And frankly, more so as technology improves, as the internet happens, and as traditional newsrooms are kind of competing with and working with things like influencers and on social media, and kind of building, helicopter trackers, stuff that, 40 years ago would not have been a thing that news did. There we go. Really the most important thing, can I swear? Ben, should I swear?
You should swear.
Jennifer, can I swear? If you've never heard this before, tell your parents I'm sorry. But the most important thing, the most important skill of a journalist is giving enough of a shit to use the stuff you're good at to tell the truth.
Should we give Scott some candy for cursing?
Oh, thank you.
Well done, well done. That was not easy for him.
All right.
I'm having one myself.
Okay. Is this the last candy question? No, this is not the last candy question. What is generative AI? Only wrong answers. No, I'm joking. You can give a right answer.
It's like you're putting in your ideas into it, and from what you put in, it generates something.
Sure. Yeah, generative generates. Exactly right. You put in some inputs, and it gives you some outputs. Anyone else?
I got one here, Scott.
It's like a kind of amalgamation of code that uses a large data set of information and then kind of recreates it and replicates it in a unique and original way.
Pretty good, dude.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's definitely worth a candy.
What about you? Can you top it? Top it, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Aaron. I'd say something similar. Like it has a lot of information, and it's instead of just like a regular search engine where it's just pulling up an answer from something else that already exists, it's going off of other information, right, and from that creating something new.
Pretty good. You got something to add to that?
We got one more.
It uses statistics to figure out what you're most likely looking for, and to use what the most likely correct answer is based on a massive set of data it already has.
Hell yeah, that was very good. Bays himself would be proud.
Here's a question. Now, I'm not talking about your homework or essays or cheating in any way, because no one who gets themselves invited to this conference would ever do that. But who here has used a conversational AI like ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini? Everybody, love it. That's fantastic. To do what kind of stuff? To do, again, you didn't do homework, and you're being recorded. What did you use it for?
When it first came out, I tried it out and I just held a conversation with it to see how useful it was and how responsive it was to my questions.
And was it responsive to your questions?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's great. Who else has an example of a time they used Gen AI for not homework and you're being recorded?
I wrote a program that uses ChatGPT to automatically email professors and ask for internships.
That is awesome. And did it get you an internship?
No, we only tested it on my mother, and she was not happy that we tested it.
Okay. Oh, okay. And she was already going to give you the internship, so you didn't even need to. Yeah. So, all right, one more, and then we're going to start using generative AI.
For art class, we were using generative AI to try to compare to see if it would replicate human art.
And did it?
No.
It was pretty bad. Okay.
One last one, Scott.
All right.
Okay. So for yearbook class, we always have trouble with headlines and everything. So might as well just ask AI to help us come up with a headline for a page.
How'd it do?
So it did pretty good. Yeah, and it's really nice, especially around final deadline time. I remember the final day, we were just we had ChatGPT up and we were typing aggressively to try to find a headline, and you know what? It worked. So
that's awesome. That's great. So we're not going to we only have 15 minutes and we want to use a Gen AI, so we're not going to go too deeply into it, but we've had some excellent answers here. Somewhere in that, you're getting at the answer. Who here, but people have heard, right, that there's some anxiety that Gen AI is going to start taking jobs. I assume everybody has heard that. Sure. I think very differently. I think that generative AI is like the autopilot of an airplane. I don't think that any pilot jobs were lost when they introduced autopilot. But flying got safer. Pilots started needing new skills, and they started using the autopilot as much as flying the plane themselves, so they still need to know how to fly the plane themselves. And I think it will be an incredible tool that will transform a lot of fields, especially journalism.
Right. And not just in the English language stuff we kind of heard here. We heard some English class answers, but also in the STEM part of our work as well, right? In the science, technology, engineering, and math side.
So who said, when we were talking about journalism, who said interviewer? Awesome. That was a great one. Thank you for that. I get extra candy? Just extra credit? So, yes, interviewing is an incredibly important part of being a journalist. And you interview people. But one of the sayings we have in data journalism is interviewing the data. So the data, just like a person, can also be interviewed. We also talk about how you trust it exactly as much as you trust a person, which is not at all. But we are going to use some AI to ask questions about data to hopefully make some good trouble. Who wants to type on my computer? Need a volunteer? Red shirt? Do you want to come do it? Awesome, thank you. There's like so much candy in this for you.
Yeah, just don't look at the browser history, okay?
No. All right. What's your name?
Enzo.
Enzo, wonderful. Where are you from?
New York.
Oh, from what part?
Harlem.
You're from, so I'm right around here. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I am from Brooklyn. Okay, so you stand here. No more slides, so I'm like off the hook now. So who flew here?
Who took an airplane? Yeah.
All right. Be prepared to tell us the airport you flew out of. This is going to be airport-related information. Who here knows what a runway incursion is? A runway incursion, a government word if there ever was one.
It's when there's either a vehicle or like some sort of fuel spilled on a runway, or for some reason my plane can't land on a runway.
That is like 3 pieces of candy right there. That is exactly right. It is when something blows onto the runway at a time when they don't expect it to, or something drives over the runway, or something is stuck on the runway. Every time this happens, it turns out that there's an FAA regulation that says that the airport has to report that to the federal government. This can be trivial. It can be nothing. It could be, a person ran onto it and was in incredible danger. So it can be a lot of things. And the government actually publishes all of the data. So every runway incursion and any airport in the country is reported to the federal government and is actually put in this data set for a while. So it's been happening for a while, so like 15 years, I think. So I just need an airport. Wait, what's that? Oh, MSY in Minneapolis, right? New Orleans, sorry. Oh. All right, MSY. So let's see what we find from MSY in New Orleans. Excellent, by the way, airport code. Yes. Airport code knowledge is, you're going to be a data journalist. There we go. So we can look, Louisiana, MSY, and if you click on search RWS on the lower right, you can very quickly see, oh, my session expired. Hit OK.
Try it.
Yeah, just do it again. Okay. MSY, that's fine. All right. There we go. So we can see all of the runway incursions that happened at New Orleans Airport since a while now, since 2017. And you can click on each of these. But Enzo, go back to the page before. How might we find out what airport in the country has the most runway incursions? Or who had how many are in runway incursions increasing or decreasing? How would we figure that out from this interface? No, Candy. There is no way to figure that out in the interface. That's something that you would have to do, like a data journalist like me or Ben or like Irina or Peter would download the data or figure out how to get the data from the government and run that analysis themselves. But, and this is an awesome trick that works with way too many websites, if you actually reload so that we don't have MSY in anymore, did that do it?
Yep.
It did. So if we put nothing in the search form, try this, it works shockingly a lot. Now if you just, with a blank search, if you click on search RWS, it will actually just give you all the data. So this is, if you go to the bottom, it'll tell you how many rows. It's 33,000 rows of data. So this, we have as a group, all 34,000 runway incursions that have happened in the United States since the teens. And if you go to the bottom, you can see CSV download. So I can take it and have it all to myself.
The
And I can
three
do whatever I
sweetest
like.
letters in the English language,
Free
CSV.
data.
Anyone know what it stands for?
Hold on, Enzo knows. Enzo started
Hell
up here.
yeah, dude!
Comma separated values.
Hell
Comma
yeah!
separated values.
And that just means a spreadsheet. It's just like a dumb acronym for means this is data in a spreadsheet.
Thank you.
And so now we can download it. And now,
Should I?
oh wait, what happened to my ChatGPT? Oh no, what'd I do? I got this. Here, hold on 1 second. Hold that for me?
Yeah.
Thanks. Now you're all seeing my browser history. Okay, here we go. So this is ChatGPT. People have seen ChatGPT. So with this LLM, with this model, the O3 Mini High is really good at this, but you can actually use it with a bunch of models. If you click on plus on the left of that thing, you can upload a file. So upload from computer. And I've already downloaded let me just go to the desktop. I have already downloaded this. There we go. So here's the runway incursions, and I'm going to hit open.
Yeah.
And it's going to think about it a second, and it's going to load all of this data into its terrifying hive mind.
Right.
And we're going to be able to ask. It's already there. So now we can interview the data. We can ask it questions that are very interesting to us. So I'm going to start with one, and then I want to hear from others. What airport has the most runway incursions? Had them. It'll figure it out. Reasoning. Considering airport runway incursions. This model is the creepiest because it's going to tell you how it's thinking about it. So the user asked which runway incursion. There's an uploaded file. It's decided it has to load the file through some Python code. Let's try that approach.
What's Python code? Who knows? Anybody?
Anybody know what Python is? Enzo knows.
Yeah, it's just like the coding language that it's going to use to try to interpret the data and like list it all into values.
Exactly.
That's right, it's a programming language.
And you can use it to analyze data files.
Okay.
And 10 years ago, you had to learn how to write the code. Now,
Enzo is the perfect person to bring up here. Enzo, you are awesome. And so what has ChatGPT told us? It's Chicago O'Hare Airport. Anybody fly in from Chicago O'Hare? You were just there, so yeah, careful the runway incursions, I guess. It is like a Titanic airport. Who knows, right? I wouldn't worry. And Enzo just did this, but if you actually click on the little icon to the right, we can actually see a little bit of the Python code that it used to interpret this information. And Ben, is that good Python code?
it's okay.
It's just okay.
I could
but it
write
worked.
better.
Yeah.
But it works, which hurts me.
And so you can imagine a reporter who wants to interview the data can use ChatGPT for this, and if they have enough Python, Enzo, do you think that's good Python code?
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's
It's fine. It's not like, we're not writing Microsoft Word or something, right? It's pretty simple. But and so if you are a programmer, rather than writing all of the code to do this yourself, You can interview the data using ChatGPT almost literally. But then you're a programmer, so you can look at the data and understand, like, did it mess up? Like, did it do something that was wrong? Did it do something that might lead to a wrong answer? So who has other questions that we would like to know about runway incursions?
Right.
We can
And
ask.
this is where STEM
Hold on.
meets
What's the most
journalism.
recent runway incursion?
What is the most recent runway incursion? While it's thinking, let's put yourself in the mind of a journalist and tell me what you would do with the knowledge that you gain by interviewing this data. Would you just immediately write a story that says the Chicago O'Hare has the most runway incursions? You wouldn't, right? Why not?
It doesn't really, like, it's just like, it's an answer. It's not like a story about, like, why does it have the most?
Excellent, excellent. It is not a story, it's just a fact. So what would you do to add knowledge to that so you could write it into a story? What are the things that you might do?
Maybe interviewing someone who experienced a runway incursion at.
Excellent, excellent, right. Sorry for cutting you off. No, right. Interview someone who has experienced a runway incursion. What else?
First of all, I would figure out what airport has the most runway incursions per amount of flights,
Hell yeah.
not just the most amount. And then I would probably
Damn
explore
right.
that more than the first question. But I think getting in contact with people in the airport and figuring out what happens when there's a runway incursion. What does that mean for the plane, and why does it happen, and why is it happening more in the airport that we're looking at? Like, what makes it different? And especially for Chicago, if we're looking at per flights, O'Hare is just a really big airport. But if we look at per flights, then what's the difference between O'Hare and Midway, right? And why?
You're exactly right. You know what I mean? I think normalizing by a denominator for a rate is almost always the right answer. Some airports are bigger than others. A bigger airport should have more incursions. Your logic's right. I myself worked on a story about helicopter accidents. And the Robinson R-44 helicopter, according to analysis of a similar database, had the most accidents. But guess what? It's the most common helicopter, right? And so we wanted to calculate an accident rate before we said it was the deadliest, right? So that was crashes per flight hour. In this case, it might be incursions per takeoff or something?
Per takeoff, per landing, right? You want it per something, so that you can tell, is this a big deal or not? In journalism, sometimes we say, is this a man bites dog story or a dog bites man story? And if your editor says to you, this is a dog bites man story, that means you're done. That's it. You're not allowed to publish your story. It means it's not newsworthy, not surprising. So have you heard of that? Have you heard the dog bites man versus man bite dog? It makes sense. It's like an old person thing to say. But still, you will definitely hear it if you're in a newsroom. All right, I think we have time for one more query of the data, and then we need to wrap up. Enzo, do you want to take typer's privilege?
Sure.
What's your question?
Yeah, say it out loud.
Let's think. Well, we can just ask the question of what is the airport that has the highest density of incursions per takeoff?
Let's ask. Absolutely.
See what happens.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I don't think the data's in there. This is where it's going to get creative.
It might.
Go for it, dude.
Right. What Ben is saying, one of the things we didn't do when we asked the first question is we didn't tell it to limit its knowledge to what's in the data. So you're normally, when you're writing a prompt like this, there's this concept called prompt engineering where you kind of know how to write these prompts. And we normally would say, don't go outside the data set to figure things out. And so, right, I think Ben is right. I think if we put that in, it's going to see if it can figure out how many takeoffs every runway in the country has.
But
let's see if reasoning says that.
Right.
Clarifying airport incursion data.
While we wait, what's truly incredible about this, as I stuff my face with chocolate, is to do this type of interviewing of a data set as a journalist, you used to have to spend weeks or months learning how to be a computer programmer, and now these tools are just making it much more accessible. They are imperfect, but they're a great start.
We could try clicking search and letting it use the internet.
But what's important here is that it actually identified, and we used to talk about ancient history 10 months ago. we used to talk about the problem of hallucination. Who here has heard of the problem of AI hallucination? So AI hallucination is the tendency for AI, because AI is really doing a lot of like very, very sort of higher math kind of prediction. And it sometimes will give you a prediction answer which is actually not true because it's not really thinking and it's not about truth and fiction, it's about kind of prediction. And so sometimes the prediction will be wrong. But AI is getting much better. And so it's done the right thing ultimately, which is to tell you that it can't figure out from this data set.
Right. Like, you know, a question I would ask is, what's the total number of incursions by year?
Right.
Right. This is the type of questions, especially, like to me, when I get a new data set, these first questions I ask, I kind of call the first date questions. You know, I'm just trying to get to know the data set and kind of see what's in the different columns. And just like basic counts and filters are just a way to kind of begin to see what's there.
And then exactly as that person in the back said, you got to start making phone calls, right? This is where the interviewer and where the non-STEM, I guess you might say, parts of the job kick in. You need to go find an expert who knows a lot about runaway incursions. Maybe call O'Hare and say, hey, I think you got the most runaway incursions last year. What's up with that?
Right. Hey, ChatGPT, can you make that into a bar chart?
So we chose a data set that we knew we could download, but you can do this with just about any data set with mixed results. You got to be careful. You should also kind of probably check it to make sure that it's right before you start calling and accusing O'Hare Airport of stuff. But you can use this on almost any data set. We tried before we got here with some New York City data sets. It works shockingly well. And these are great ways to get yourselves into stories. So I think we have run out of time.
Right. So it makes me almost sad to see this because it took me years of learning how to write Python code to be able to take a data set I had downloaded 30 seconds before and begin to do these first date questions and get to know it and start to figure out what's there. And now, thanks to these tools, we're farting around and did it in 10 minutes, guys. It's just wild.
So go out, make good trouble, download more troublesome data sets, and please do this. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.